I do.
All right, well, let's call the meeting to order and welcome everyone back from our little summer hiatus. I hope everybody had an enjoyable summer break there and refreshed and ready to go. And as I mentioned, Councillor Walsh and Councillor Lutz are not able to join us tonight, so we'll recognize their absence tonight. Approval of the agenda. Does anybody have anything to add to the agenda? We do have an in-camera session with a couple of items. And I do want to have a little update on the strategic planning under new business number 6. So if there is nothing else, we'll entertain a motion. Thank you, Councillor Jameson. We have a seconder.
Sure.
All right, Councillor Sereno. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. That will be our agenda. Approval of the minutes. Special Council Committee of the Whole minutes, June 17th. Anybody note any errors or omissions in?
Yes,
Okay. Councillor Goddard.
the in-camera was adjourned to in-camera.
That was, and you called me on that one, Chris, and I changed it in one place and not in the other place.
And then number 4 was moved and seconded, the regular meeting be adjourned to in-camera.
That was a cut.
And that should have been just
Right.
adjourned.
Yes, I was trying to figure out what we did that night.
Okay, any others? Very good, picking that stuff up. Yeah. All right, we'll approve and circulate it with that change that we'll make. And the next one was the Committee of the Whole minutes, June 24th. Okay. Any errors or omissions in that one? Hearing none, we'll approve them as circulated. And we will move on now to the action items. And that list has just been recently added, so if you have downloaded an agenda package and you don't see it there, you know, either re-download or just refer to the screen. So, Jennifer, do you want to just take us through those? We can. see if
Well,
there's any-
I will, maybe start by, Katie, if you want to update on the community calendar, because that was one that was asked at the last meeting.
Yep, absolutely. So it's been brought up a few times around the table and kind of looking more into it over the last month or so, but we have tried different renditions of this over the years, but not seeing a huge amount of success with it, but Taylor looked more into it, and so we realized that we are currently offering this already on our website. So there is the Town of Berwick event calendar on the website, and if you click right on it, it says if you want to enter an event onto our calendar, simply fill out this form and send it in. So I think what we need to do more work on is sharing that is an opportunity. So had a good chat in our department meeting about boosting that in September at our Community Connection Expo. We also have an email list which includes community groups and organizations. So sharing that as well, and there is some verbiage on there about what we actually can include on the calendar and what we can't. So it's geared towards community groups and organizations and not businesses or promoting any business events or those types of things. So a little bit of work around that, but it is there and it's existing already. So we just have to do some work to share that so people are aware of it.
Great.
And the other one that was asked about, and I believe Katie was from you as well, was about the incidents SOP. And again, our practice is that all incidents are reported, but you were drafting an SOP, I believe.
Yes, and so I did update, but I don't know, it must have, in the
Got
writing
cut
there.
off.
Yeah,
There we
no,
go.
and so I now have the template for the SOP, and I had a quick chat with Jen the other day about, I think I went a little bit too in-depth with the SOP initially and just need to simplify it, so I said that I would have a draft reviewed for our next meeting.
Did we have any issues in the summer that which we had to involve day camp staff or anything over there in any kind of incidents at all? Or-
Still a
good?
couple days of day camp left. No, not that I've been made aware of, Aaron. I don't know if there's any vandalism or any incidents you have been.
Probably not this year, no.
Excellent.
No, not this summer, I should say.
And one of the questions that was asked of me was about the code of conduct criteria. And so it says not started, but I had reached out, I just haven't heard any feedback yet from other municipalities if they have dug into it. So in the code of conduct regulations, there are guidelines for for things that you consider when putting a sanction onto a code, but there's no detailed criteria. It just says how long or the level of the offense is something you take into consideration, or severity of the offense, but there's no guidelines to determine level of severity, how you determine level of severity. So that was something that we're still continuing to gather. And I think those were the ones that were questioned at the last meeting that I was just providing an update on.
Jennifer, there's the second one there around the appointing the independent investigator, and that was something we had put on that list really early on in the process, and then NSFM has found a list. AMA found the list.
So there is a list of 7, I believe, and 4 of them we have conflicts with as we've used them for other things, but I have reached out to the others to get some pricing, and we did receive on the AMA listserv a draft contract that we can use with one of the investigators. So I hope to have one in place by September, or end of September.
Has there been any conversation amongst perhaps our Kings County municipalities of kind of having the same one? And then my next question is, I understand the municipality of Kings is gonna hire full-time legal counsel. Would that be something that we might see if they could become, and then we would pay
So
someone like
you
that?
can't use your legal counsel as your investigator.
Can we use someone else's legal counsel, another maybe still having?
Yes, but it wouldn't be, I don't know if you can, if they become an employee of that municipality.
Okay,
So a lot of, when I go on and look at others who have on their websites who their investigator is, they, like Noella Martin, who we use for HR, so other municipalities are using her as the investigator. We can't because we use her for HR matters. And there might be others that use our lawyer's firm, Matards, as their investigator because they don't have direct dealing. So you could be using someone else's solicitor, but it's not their employee.
okay, so
Yeah.
that's how we have the conflict with the 4 of them on that group,
Yeah.
group. Okay.
So, but there are ones there that will
Mhm.
be more than appropriate for us. So just getting the contract and the pricing and sign off on that, and then we'll be good to go. So we don't have it on our website, but I also haven't received any emails from the public looking for where to find that information to actually do an investigation, but I do want to get that all wrapped up by the end of September, because that would be about a year since
Mhm.
the information became in or went into effect. Yeah.
Okay. And any date for the BCFN presentation?
No, so there's a few that we need to schedule for the fall, so BCFN, Valley Waste and King's Transit, so Kristen and I can provide that information at the next meeting as to what those dates might look like, and I don't know which one, but we might even have one scheduled for September. Because usually we try to do them at a council meeting, not be at the whole.
And did we resolve the issue of the county of Kingsby transfer tax? Did they not implement it this year?
That's right, so it's,
That was kind of done.
I guess I should put it as deferred because it's not completed because they don't actually, they haven't decided what they're doing yet. So that's why it's still in progress because they have not revisited the issue yet, so they could still revisit it. And then it would become active again for me to provide, or we can just defer it. And it can be at the bottom of the list until they do something.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no work to be done until they do their work.
That's right, yeah. So we can move that to deferred. And then we do have the key fob ready for Deputy Mayor Lutz. But then realized that there's no fob to come into town hall. So he would be able to get into council chambers, but not into the front of town hall. So we did get back a key to an exterior key that we could give him. But we've also asked for a quote to put the fob system on the front door as well, just to make it easy. And then we can do temporary code access for people as well. So if there was a member of council who was using the council chambers for something, for one evening, we could give you a code that expires that night. So you could get in. So Roger was working with Aaron and Taylor on a internal SOP for building access and the fobs and which doors we leave closed versus open and that type of thing. So we're gonna review that tomorrow at our staff meeting to get feedback on. But that's one of the features that the system has, is that we can do temporary codes that expire.
Any other questions on the action items? No? Okay, let's move on to councilor announcements. So this is your opportunity to identify any announcements in the community you're working on or anything important that's happened. So we'll start with Councilor Goddard. How about that?
On July 25th, 1965, present Berwick citizens Rose Mary Langmead and Robert Teed tied the knot in St. John's, Newfoundland. I attended a neighborhood gathering of well-wishers to honor them on their 60th anniversary. It was a joyous event with homemade lemonade and cupcakes. Congratulations to Bob and Rose.
Very nice. Councilor Quacken?
I don't think I have anything new to, since our last meeting. I'm just.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Councilor Jameson? Councilor Serena?
There was just the one thing, but I seen it in one of the reports. So just trying to find it in one of the reports again, so I don't repeat it. Just congratulations to Aiden Peach.
Yes.
Like, that's amazing. Went to the Canada Games this year, represent Nova Scotia in volleyball. Congratulations to him. And he's a super awesome kid too. I coached him in soccer. He's an amazing kid, super nice, amazing family. The whole family's amazing.
Yeah. The only other one I was gonna share is this, right? Berwick Gale Days this weekend. We now all have a schedule, so hopefully we can get out to as many events as you possibly can.
Question on that, actually. So I signed up for the gate. Is there anything else I need to sign up for, or that people need help with?
Well, we're gonna have a conversation about the parade. When we can do that one now. I'm not sure we had an official invitation as council that anybody around this table had heard from. Usually the politicians kind of walk in the front. We talked about getting a banner, but I don't know that, did that ever
I
happen?
thought, did you guys walk with the banner at the Christmas parade?
Do we have it somewhere?
Yeah.
Okay, we have it, so we could get that. And we also have our own float that we could walk in front of the float if we wanted to.
We could send a email to all of council tomorrow morning maybe and ask if anyone was interested, or invite if everyone was interested.
Yeah,
If that's of any help.
well, I think we should. Well, I guess the question is, do we want to be present there? And then where do we want to be? And if we want to find out if we can walk at the front of the parade, we should ask Gale Days. If we're content to walk in front of our float, then we can we can go there, I guess, if that's,
Uh-huh.
any thoughts or people, I know the council roots is not available. So that would be one, but I don't know about the rest of us, and
Simon Ty is not available either, because I know he's not,
it's not back.
yeah, because he's not able to attend PAC on the.
Okay.
second
Okay.
Because of still vacation.
Um, I'm all in favor of walking with our float. As far as being in the front of the parade, it creates a conflict because of the color party should be the front of the parade,
Yeah,
flags.
well, I didn't need to be the very first, but we're
Oh.
usually there, the Paul, like the council, and I think Cody Boyce and Chris Palmer, we all kind of walk somewhere near there together, but we don't need to do that if we want to have our own unique representation, and right now we do have the banner.
Yes, we had that at the,
Yeah, I forgot
last,
about that,
last
we did
fall,
have it.
didn't we have it at the conference? Didn't we have a Berwick
Yeah, we
banner?
had
Got a
used it at
picture of it.
Christmas.
Well,
Right,
and we
that's
weren't with it at Christmas.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Are others, are we able to make it, and do
Yeah.
we,
Yeah, I can make it.
So Wednesday, is it?
no, it's Monday, Labor Day, 11 a.m.
Maybe.
Are you a maybe?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay, so there could be 4 of us, I can make it. Where is it starting now? Is it starting up at the health center?
Yes.
To the Gallaudet, or, Jeremy Mann, I would assume.
Also.
The house.
Commercial space, so, so can we remind everybody, do you want to send that email out, just check on where we are and you want to leave the banner in my office or whatever, and I'll pick it up and we'll have it. Okay,
I'm in town, I'll go, but if I'm not,
yeah, well, you'll have, so the place to find us and the time, I think it's probably there about 10:30. Okay, well, that resolves that one that was on my list. Any? Okay, let's move on then to community development report. Kate?
Sure. I do want to quickly note, the Community Connections Expo, which was supposed to happen on September 18th, is actually going to be postponed. We're going to do that in early October in conjunction with a volunteer event. That is the day of John Reagan's, afternoon memorial, which leads us near to it, and, Taylor is off, for at least 2 weeks during that period of time. Due to that, we decided to push it out, and folks who were registered will receive an email with that information. So I did just want to highlight that, as a change, as this was written about a week and a half ago, so. And happy to, speak to any points, or if anyone has any questions.
Any questions for you? Oh, you want to jump in?
I know, sorry, I had notes and I was, Taylor will be sending you, Mayor Tanasi, an email, but September 29th is the date of the provincial volunteer recognition ceremony. So we have Tara LeBlanc, who is representing the town this year as volunteer of the year. So just, to note that as well, that
Okay.
Tara.
And do we have, while you're on that one, do we have a date for our event or in early October?
No, so that's what I was chatting with Taylor about today, and she's hoping to come on, and it's gonna be an evening, and she'd like to hold it at the Lions Hall. So I know in the past, we've done a morning, but looking more to combine the Community Connection Expo with the volunteer event in hopes and have a big crowd and.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. Any questions, Counselor Davis?
Could you give me a little more detail on the beach volleyball court?
Yes, so out back, we have the beach volleyball court. So, remember, there's quite an active beach volleyball communities too in the valley. We had someone reach out to us who was attending another program in the area who runs those programs. So she kind of came and did an assessment of our court, and what we might need to make it more user-friendly and appropriate for programming. So we had a short list and really of things that could be done quite quickly to work with them on that. And then they were interested in next summer hosting some initial startup events and maybe seeing as there's some local champions and we have some younger folks here looking at partnering with them or expanding that offering a little bit, so more people know about it. But yeah, it was someone from a local program in the valley came in, went for a walkthrough, and again, very minimal stuff really to bring it up to a standard of where we could offer some programming out of it, so.
So is this a green beach or is this a blue beach?
Oh, I don't know.
Blue by, is there water next to it or? the
Oh,
tree
no
next
water,
to it?
green.
It's
No.
definitely.
It's definitely green.
moment.
Nothing's blue at the moment. Yeah, no, it's yes, it's a green beach.
Oh,
The sand is about all we have, that's, yes, yeah,
But hopefully it works out.
yes.
People use it.
And little kids use it as a sandbox.
It's, yeah.
Oh,
All the
good.
time.
Mhm. And it's a group of pre-teen, I would guess, early teens that are quite active out there, on a regular basis.
Yeah.
There are folks using it all the time, which is nice to see. We don't really offer any program, but it is certainly being used, so.
But yeah, during the day, quite often there's
Yes, and
the
the,
daycare.
the
uses
daycare
a lot,
comes over.
and the kids are just,
mhm.
I was being facetious,
I know.
green and.
I didn't pick on it, no, yes,
But
I
I
thought
do
it
know
was
how much
volleyball
kids love
terminology.
beaches.
yes,
And I say it's a good thing, so
yes.
thank you.
Any other questions? I have, Katie, any update on the lights for the bridge?
No, so I had sent an email, I have been on vacation for the last week and a half, I sent an email the day prior to me leaving to ask them for an updated date, and the gentleman was on vacation and I haven't heard back from them. But I am trying to get the.
Well, let's hope no news is good news. If
I
they
know.
didn't call you or send you a note that
Yes.
says it's been
Yeah.
delayed, that's
Yeah.
probably good.
Yeah, and I did reach out to Joey with BEC as well, because he has been included in on the conversations in the context, and he hasn't received an update yet either, so.
Mhm. We had talked in the spring, I think Taylor, were around diversity, about whether or not we were gonna try to organize an event in the fall, kind of some sort of food event or something like that.
Yep.
Are we making any progress? Are we planning that or?
Taylor's applied for funding for an event.
Okay.
She said she's waiting to hear back and should be hearing back any day. So we did allocate, I believe, about $600 in our budget approved for an event, but she was using that money to leverage something and apply for a much more robust event. So just waiting to see if that funding is secured. If so, we can move forward right away with an event.
Mhm.
She has been working with about the community connection, I'm trying to think, circle, and where she was gonna be off for 2 weeks or so. She didn't launch it now, as she would be able to review all of them, but the hopes was that that group could also work towards contributing to what that event could look like and some more things as well, so.
Okay.
Yeah, there's an online form, so the process for that will be that we'll put a call out to the community and people can fill out a form or somewhat of an application to participate in that. So she's sending it to community groups and organizations if they're interested in sending a representative. And I think the goal was to have between 6 and 10 members to sit around that committee and around that working group. To kind of steer a lot of the work of what an event would look like, but also more on the new strategy and how we move forward with that.
Okay, cool. Oh, Council,
Staff are working through several quotes provided to support signage replacement.
Yes, so we lost the Chew Park sign in the,
Cheap Park
yes.
sign's gone.
So we have received a quote to replace that sign, which is over $3,000. I had a chat with Inez, gave her a call just to kind of keep her informed on where we were. So again, it was over $3,000 to replace it as it was. If you're familiar with like, any of the other signs that we have at our parks around the community, they're not the foam sign, but they're more of just a wooden structure that has a one side, or we could do a double-sided sign at Heritage Station Park. So I did get a quote on something that was maybe more budget friendly, for right now, which was around $400. So there is the option of we have both options. I have not spoken to Inez to give her those updated prices, but she felt that if it had the same design, exactly the same, which we're able to do, that would be good, and maybe if we look at doing a more affordable option this year, it's not to say that if we're able to secure grant funds or something down the line, we couldn't. Did reach out to the province regarding that, and it does fall under Active Communities Fund, which is closed now from this year, so it does mean in the future, we could apply and it covers up to 70%. So we're looking at grant funding for that, and then there were also some other signs around Chew Park that fall within that as well. That's what we.
I think there's someone in the local area who collects signs, because there have been a number of signs.
But this one was broken.
Yeah, from the windstorm, and we did recover it. It was broken in pieces, and it was
Yeah.
down at Public Works, no longer is, but that was regarding that.
And we may be missing a sign out on the trail too, and
Is it the ATV, no motorized?
it might be that, I thought maybe it was, the one to Chew Park into Brown Street
Oh,
or something that
okay.
goes up through that trail.
Okay,
I haven't been up there, although I was almost on the trail today, was gonna chase a guy down who I saw walking in there.
oh,
but,
okay.
Didn't. But anyway, that,
Yes,
if we're looking at the signs.
right,
we would do.
okay.
Hey, anything else, Katie? I have one, just I met with the school principal the other day, which is really neat. Isaac Spearman is now, he grew up in Berwick and he's back at the Berwick School, but as the principal now, and he's very excited to work with the town on a regular basis, and he came in with a list of things from when are we painting the crosswalks to can we get a crosswalk sign to programming and can we meet regularly and all, so, and the class photos up there, is there someplace we can put them? Because, and there's a memorial piece up there too, that may be better up at the West Kings Memorial Health Center. Like, he's just got all these things he wants to do. One of them he wants to do is regular meetings with us. And, so I agreed to that, and I think it'd be appropriate, and I know Jennifer, we talked to Jennifer about it, so you and I are gonna plan to meet with him. He actually sent me a list of dates the other day, and I haven't got back to him yet, because I hadn't figured out who's coming yet.
Yeah.
So I'll send you that.
Mhm.
You can look at what date may work for you. They're in October. It's
Yeah.
not.
No, that's great. It's almost like we knew the day he started, because Taylor's getting we're all getting emails about little things like, can you update this about our section on your website?
Yeah.
And so, and I know, he's had a good relationship, with the staff and so here too. So I think that'll be really great for the community for, just positive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He is so much part of the community. I mean, he's one of my neighbors and, yeah.
And he so much wants the students to feel part of the community
Yeah.
and involved in the community and connected to the community like he does. Like, it's just
Mhm.
interesting to hear him chat about his vision for the school and the students, which is really kind of exciting.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. I jumped over the new business piece, but let's continue the department reports, then we'll jump back to the new business piece. So Public Works, Aaron?
All right, well, traffic line painting is underway. I need to check to see if we painted that sidewalk yet in front of the school, because they're still working on the cross streets. So if that's not done, I wrote an action item to check that.
It'd be nice if we could get that done before school starts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Kind of
Yeah, we
think it
can
might
do-
be done, because I've walked that a lot.
it might be
Yeah,
done now,
start that.
yeah. I wish, Deputy Mayor Lutz was here, because the grates for the storm culvert near. I think another key or large thing was the walking trail in Rainforest to Centennial Park. I mean, that's been installed and significantly under budget, so that was good.
And I have really good comments
Yeah.
about it when
Oh, good.
people have been in the park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good,
yeah.
it's a lot more than what I was expecting.
Yeah,
It looks really nice, it's really nice, it's very well done.
it's as wide as a half-ton pickup truck. I mean,
Yeah.
But when you really look at where accessibility guidelines are going, that's That's what a walking trail is, potentially in a few more years, so we figured we might as well just do that now.
Yeah.
I think it's 8 feet wide, just slightly over 8 feet in width.
Yeah.
The only bad part is now we know how well Public Works can build a trail.
So that's good.
I know, I shouldn't have done so well, now we're gonna be.
It's a challenge. Number one, the guys like doing work like that because it is a change, but the daily, weekly tasks they do pile up. You know, we're a very lean team, so when these projects come up, you know, there is a sacrifice. But again, the guys had a great time doing it. And they're looking forward to another one. So. We did start paving. We've had some challenges with our contractor, just with personnel on their side. A lot of heavy equipment companies are just short on people. So due to personnel constraints, we were delayed in starting paving operations, but we have started those. We started with some sidewalk work on Cottage. We have sidewalk work happening today on Union in front of Centennial Park. And we have sidewalk work tomorrow happening close to the Legion on Main Street, in between the Legion and the Public Works Shop. If we have money left, we have some more sidewalk work to do close to Eden Valley. But again, we want to see where we're at with our spend before we commit to that. Tomorrow, we're patch paving Union and Cottage, just in preparation for Gala Days. And we're replacing the curb in front of the post office. And then the tap room, we replaced a sewer lateral about 6 weeks ago. So now that the paving crew is here, we can reinstate the sidewalk in front of their place. The big paving project this year is Main Street from Byzantium to Eden Valley. And we're waiting for the milling machine to come from the city before we can start that. So that's coming. Some other stuff that didn't make it in the report, I think everyone's aware, we have some substantial work happening on Commercial Street right now in front of the Pharmasave. That's upwards of a 5-day operation. It's going, knock on wood, very well. We're hoping to finish 70% of it by the end of business tomorrow, knock on wood, and then wrap up on day 4. So that's going quite well. And again, that's to repair a broken sewer gravity line, just to jog people's memories. It's been replaced with a single fused pipe. I could talk for hours about it. It's quite a technical project, but that pipe has a 100-year life. So if we can keep it, it's good.
Yeah, my son was asking about that. I was like, oh yeah, it's really cool. It's a new pipe, it'll go right through and go.
One piece of information, it took about 10% of the pulling force they expected they would need to pull the pipe. That tells us that they weren't pulling through much. So the pipe that was there was deteriorated more than we thought it was. So it's good. It's good news that we have a new pipe in the way.
That is good news, yeah.
I don't know if everyone's aware, we lost our wastewater treatment operator this summer. He left last month to go to the County of Kings. When you look at our workforce last year versus this year, we have about a 33-year experience deficiency compared to what we had last year with Gage and Jeff and Tim. So that's taken us there's a learning curve there with that experience deficiency, but I think we're catching up. The summer certainly went quick. From a capital standpoint, we're populating an asset management software. Hopefully within about 8 weeks, we have that complete. Stormwater management plan. When we started, the goal was to have that completed by next month, September. It's looking like October. So I think I've told them that's okay. I mean, we're looking for a quality product. If they need an extra month, excuse me, then that should be okay. The wastewater treatment plant upgrades, all of the aeration equipment has been installed in Lagoon 2. We're awaiting the new blowers. The blowers are delayed. They should come it could be late November or early December before we see those. Because of that delay, we're having to do some substantial maintenance on the existing blowers, which we really didn't want to do. But we need a backup. We have to have a backup blower. If we don't, we'll get odor pretty quickly in the community. And so we have we're rebuilding a motor for blower one, just to get us by the next few months, so. An unfortunate spend that we didn't want to spend. As far as the tertiary filtration, the design work is complete. From an equipment standpoint, Dylan is now designing the building. The equipment won't fit in the building and still have room for a washroom and a sink and a small laboratory space and the contingency equipment and the maintenance equipment we need. So that building is, they looked at tearing the building down, keeping the foundation and building it slightly taller to get the equipment to fit. They looked at building an extension. They've looked at every option they could. They looked at wood versus metal. But basically what it's looking like is they're gonna have to rip it down to the slab and build a complete new building. So far, that's pretty much the same cost as retrofitting the existing building. The challenge with a substantial retrofit is you have to retrofit to today's code. And that building is old enough to where it's a significant upgrade to bring it up to code, to the point where demolishing it and just rebuilding is about the same cost. So that design work is underway. Hopefully within the next month, we have a building design. Then we can have a bit of a stopping point where we can make some decisions and hopefully we can tender that work for construction in the fall. And I'll leave it at that for now. If there's any questions.
Questions? Counselor Yance?
I only have one question. We're not doing the, McIntosh Street. That's been put on hold. I see that in your note.
Yeah, so
Budget is taking it elsewhere. We've notified, but we have notified the town through our communication that that was happening. Are we going to haul back our words or provide any
I think
explanation
that
as
was
to
in the
why?
tax. We could, what's happening is that asphalt has deteriorated so far that you can't mill it and put a new layer. We have to physically remove all of the asphalt. We have a few roads in town where that's the case. We can't patch pave, we can't mill. We have to physically remove everything and start from scratch. If we could put 75 mil of asphalt on that road, but within a couple of years, literally a couple of years, we would, that fracture pattern would just propagate through the new. So because of the cost and because it's such a substantial upgrade, it's a potential capital project
Do we have a
of
quote on it?
resurfacing. I don't have a written quote yet.
If we-
It's on the order of 80,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe at the next meeting, we can just give an update and get some direction from council.
Yeah, I think by the next meeting we'll have, we should be 80+% done our paving work.
And
And
then
so
what
we'll know our spend. Yeah.
Okay.
I learned about it from the people that were awarded the contract, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so then I saw it in your report and I said,
Yeah.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
that's confirmed twice, so.
But yeah, if we did put it out there as being done and we're not gonna do it, we probably should do a communication out, but let's find out where we are with the budget and get a quote on what it would be to do it, and then we can, Lisa will be back so we can talk to her about
Yeah,
financing
yeah.
and bring that to council on September 9th.
Gotta eat crow, we gotta eat crow, it's
Yeah.
as simple as that.
So it was in the newsletter as one of the pieces to be done, and then we haven't said anything more other than internal.
We haven't said anything extra.
It's a newsletter
That
that
we
will be done.
done.
Yeah,
Okay,
it was in our budget too.
Yeah.
I think we called it out.
yeah, okay. All right, yeah, well, that's good. We'll talk about that at council and see, maybe it still will be done. Or maybe at that point, we make a notice that it will be done next year or whatever we look at being able to do.
We have a second.
Yeah, the neighbors, all the neighbors have asked.
Oh, yeah.
Put it on the Maple Avenue list of.
All the street kids
Referrals.
were out on their bikes the morning we were taking measurements, so.
Yeah.
Everybody at their dinner table that night heard the road. The road was getting paved, so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could communicate.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, we could cover it, we could make it look good, but it's not an effective use of
Yeah,
our
Don't
money.
put lipstick on a pig.
no, I don't think that's our approach to things.
If we were gonna just cover it, we've talked about why can't I remember the name?
Chip seal.
Chip seal.
That's it, no.
Now, it's gonna propagate through in a couple of years, but chip seal's a quarter to a third of the price of pavement. Chip seal, when done right, should have a 6-year life. We'd probably get a 2 to 3 year life on Macintosh, right? It's still best to rip everything out and do something right. So,
I just need to.
I've taken an action.
Speak for neighbors.
Yeah, you need to know what to tell them. Guys, they're shooting daggers at you walking by.
Yeah, yeah.
Counselor Serena.
Yeah, so, just all this talks of roadway just reminded me of something. How's the epoxy patches working?
They're working great. They're working really well. The challenge is, they're an American product.
No.
And since talk of tariffs have happened, it's climbed to $100 a bag. Whereas asphalt cold patch is $30 a bag. So we haven't bought any more. I've asked the supplier to find a Canadian equivalent. And when he finds it, I said, we'll buy it by the pallet. I mean, it's approximately, it's almost 3 times the cost of cold patch, but it lasts. And, you know, it lasts very, very well. I mean, even the province has started using it. In Mount Uniacke, there's a big pothole that's been there all winter and it's filled with a great big gray. They filled it with resin and it's worked. So if we can find something cheaper than $100 a bag, we'll get some more and we'll start using it. It works, it remains flexible to some degree. So when you have a transition, it's a really good product to use as opposed to asphalt. So if we're going from asphalt to concrete or asphalt to, say, a metal manhole ring, that resin is a really good product to kind of use in that transition.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, because I remember you saying that we patched one spot in Main Street there.
Yeah.
But it kind of sunk down a bit just because
It
we're still
sunk.
trying to work out the.
Yeah, now that whole area actually sunk. That was where we put a new sewer lateral in.
Okay.
We're actually gonna be paving that hopefully this week, if not this week, next week, but. Yeah, no, it held up really well. Yeah, the guys were pleasantly surprised with how well it worked. Yeah.
Good.
Again, 3 times the cost, but it lasts, right? So I think time will show it's a better use of our money to use that. Some cold patch is put with the intention to get through one plow, literally one plowing, and it's ripped up. Anybody who was down near Eden Valley in the late spring, they had done some cold patching and it was all in the ditch. We had to scoop it out with the bucket under the ditch. It was just gravel. You know, the plow had scraped it off over the course of the winter. So that wouldn't happen with the resin.
Any other questions for Aaron? Aaron, I have a couple. One, the principal also asked for a crosswalk sign up there from the arena parking lot across to
The lights, the
the
crosswalk.
crosswalk light, yeah, the flashing light.
Okay.
We were gonna look into whether or not
We can look at that.
I'd like to give them a response of some kind, potentially next year, not at all.
That would be,
Good idea, like what if?
So we budgeted 2 a year
Mhm.
for the last 3 years, and we
Okay,
don't have any spoken for the next year's budget, so. We could potentially, at least unless you've received any requests, Aaron, and you might now, I've received a few previous years, but. That could be the one that it's designated, one of those 2 is designated for next year's budget.
Okay, that will be my response.
Okay, yeah.
We'll be looking at designating one there, let them know when it's confirmed.
yeah,
Okay.
That actually makes
It's for the
sense.
$10,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would concur. I mean, I notice, cause I walk to the gym and so
Yeah.
on, you know, and even though. Well, I guess that even though there's sort of a stop sign here and it's a 30-kilometer-an-hour zone. You have to look you have to be careful, cause people really pick up speed in that little stretch. I don't know if they're battling schools in summer. Yeah, it's noticeable.
Oh, they like hanging out in the back to the arena doing donuts. I hear them all the
It
time.
makes a lot of sense. It was
Yeah.
requested
Yeah.
previously, so now that we've heard it and again, it makes a lot of sense, so.
Mhm, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can look at the budget and we have plenty of quotes. They were about $5,000 a pole. So, with the battery and the solar and the Bluetooth and they're quite complicated now. They basically have a SCADA system so that if they malfunction, the company that provides them will call us and let us know this has malfunctioned and you need to fix it, so. So it would be about $10,000, but it's something we can install and, yeah, we can look at the budget now, even. We can look at the budget.
Yeah, okay.
I think you got the whole back, didn't you?
Yeah. The other one is the speed signs. Are we able to move those around? I have a complaint about So Street and I don't think we've ever put it there. We've always had them on Main Street or Orchard Street or
We
even
could,
in
yeah.
Main.
Yeah,
Are they something that is able to be moved even for temporary and then we switch them to somewhere else?
Yeah, I know the one on Main Street, Andy, has been moved before.
we would probably just purchase when the sign would be $50 and we have posts.
No, I'm in the electronic one. Sorry, the flash is your
Yeah.
speed.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, sorry.
yeah, so,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Uh,
They can be moved, I just,
where do we have one?
There's one in
Main
front of my
Street.
house.
And there's one on
Main, there's one going out to one.
between Maple and Cottage.
Main and, yeah, Main and.
One in
Maple.
Orchard.
They were really kind of, I think, the going out of town, because that's usually where the speed picks up.
Yeah, okay.
And we are supposed to be able to get data from them as well. And I know that Mike Payne used to get the data. I think I have the cords in my office. I don't really know how it works, but it's something we can look at.
We can find that out, yeah.
Yeah, that's, some provinces and municipalities have been approved to do camera, speed cameras.
Mm.
And what happens and like every time I go to Ottawa, my girls know where every one of them are, right? And it's like, stop here right now, because if you go over 50, you're getting a ticket. Because that camera reads your license plate, reads your speed, sends the municipality the information, they send you a ticket and you pay the fine.
Yeah.
Simple as that. I mean, but it's something, I know the province, I read it, had made an announcement about approving certain municipalities to be able to do that, and we've never followed up on that. I didn't, but it's something that, I don't know, Jennifer, have you heard or seen?
So I believe that's part of the transportation regulations that they're looking at to enable municipalities to be able to make that decision themselves. So right now, I believe you have to apply for permission, but I think that's one of the components, Aaron, in the transportation standards or what is that,
I know which one you mean, yeah.
yeah, the one that they're doing the consultation on right now, but I believe that's one, and we will also be able to set speed limits under 50 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
Or I think for towns it was 50 and maybe rules, there might be 80, so you don't have to go through the province to do all those approvals. They're making some changes and doing a consultation right now.
Something we can talk about.
Absolutely.
I think culturally, South Street is an exit from town, the way people use it, right? So-
Absolutely, that is an exit, that's how the people, how do you go to Waterville? You
Yeah.
speed down South Street, you zip
Yeah.
through that park and then you're on.
So if I can get the cables, I can find out what company we bought it from. And number one, we could get a quote for the future, but we could also look at moving one.
I think we have a couple, two of them are older.
Yeah.
And I think one of them we purchased since I've been here, and I believe it's more of a Bluetooth thing rather than the cables, and that's,
Okay, yeah, that's.
yeah, which
yeah.
might make it easier, but we can definitely look into all that.
Concern I had from the guy about the speeding also was, can we build a sidewalk down there? And I couldn't remember where the sidewalk, if that, on South Street, from Maple
Down to, yeah.
somewhere past his house anyway, but
It's
we went
not
through that exercise before in that part of town and people didn't want it. We had a design, we had a plan, we had a community meeting. And they didn't want it because the plan was to put it, you know, on their side of the street where you would come out of your house and then the sidewalk be there and you walk up the street. they didn't want to lose their properties there. So that was the general sense of that. So, and then, well, why don't you put it on the other side of the street? Well, the other side of the street, there's a trail.
Yeah.
So we might walk up the trail. Anyway, the whole issue kind of,
Well,
well, we didn't proceed with it at that time. And so, anyway, I shared that story with them. But anyway, so at least the speed sign might help with.
Yep.
So.
yeah,
The other last one I had for you, and that I've mentioned this to you before. Oh, Chris, did you have one?
Yeah,
Okay.
in regards to cameras taking pictures and sending tickets.
Hmm.
Do you not have to have front license plates to do that?
That's all part of the investigation on, it. I don't know
Yeah,
that.
'cause It's
That may
pretty
be-
hard to identify a vehicle without a front plate.
I don't even know if they have front license plates in Ottawa. Good question.
They do.
They probably do.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's, makes it a no-go, or maybe there's another
Yes, they
system, they
can
hit your
call.
speed and then they see the back one. I don't.
So, yeah, so I'm just gonna say, they use photo radar and they use stop sign, red light cameras as well, and you get tickets on both of those in Alberta, in Calgary. And I'm trying to remember, did we have front plates in
Yeah.
Alberta?
Yes, so if you do.
Yeah, they did, okay.
I
So
know-
was gonna say, it's very effective.
The article I read referred to the larger municipalities being able to do it and giving them approval in Nova Scotia. So Cape Breton was looking at it. So there must be a way,
Yeah.
because they didn't exclude the ability in Nova Scotia because we don't have front license plates. So I don't know what, I mean.
So
it's just-
I actually do think that in Alberta, they took the picture of your back plate because you would see the flash in your rear mirror and realize you've been caught.
Yeah. Anyway, but it's a good point.
They moved theirs around, so there's no.
But there's also, you can also set them up for a time delay for the speed you're going.
Yeah.
Hit the back plate.
Hmm.
Yeah, so,
In Ontario, also, there's some of them that, if you're speeding as a Nova Scotian with a bad plate, there's a provincial law that needs to change so that they can send you a ticket to Nova Scotia. Because there's not provincial reciprocity.
Well, that's good to know. Maybe I'll.
If you're driving with there, with you know, so,
Okay,
So-
do better about that.
That counts towards the 407 ETR as well, which are out of problems plates, they won't send you a bill.
Oh,
I always wondered why I didn't get a bill the time cause, yeah,
yeah.
okay, that's fine.
So anyway, my point, and I want to share this with you, I really appreciate your quick responses to people on, their issues or their complaints, and the two recent ones have been the Monica Franey question about her yard and Dwight Johnson about patching and that, so, thank you for that. But one of Monica's questions was with the low water levels, and your response was, are we gonna be able to do some of the ditching that we've been
Yeah.
talking about? How are we making out with the ability to do that now at this time of year with water being down and?
so we haven't done it yet. But it is the perfect time because the ground back there is so dry. In the spring, it was so wet that we were scared the excavator was gonna sink and get stuck, so. It's on the list, not gonna happen before Gala Days. Gala Day, everything's basically stopped right now for Gala Days. But hopefully September, we can get it done. We need to do it before the rains come. And we had to check property, so it is property that we own, the town owns, so, it's our property. When you look at some of the provincial guidelines right now on that type of work, we probably need a fire watch to do it right now. And you need the fire watch for 2 hours after you finish the work. So we've looked at some of that stuff, and just right now with our crew, we're 5 people right now. To do that, we'd probably need 3 people. Nothing else is really gonna get done, right? So the thought is to get it before the rains come, but not right now. So September is kind of what we're shooting for.
So I have experience in fire wash.
Yeah.
I used to do it all the time, we always had a guy, when we were fueling the aircraft, guy in fire wash.
Yeah.
Big old fire extinguisher was on them.
Yeah, the oil rigs we had it too, and yeah.
The
But
one
that's-
that comes to mind for me is the one on Commercial Street between the dentist and the fire hall, that.
Oh, yes.
Piece there,
Yeah.
there has been, I know last year there was quite a problem, or last time we had that flood down there, that really. Back up there, anyway, that's.
I can add that one to the list.
Hmm.
I know we talked about that one in the fall, but it's not on the current work list, so,
Oh, okay.
yeah, we'll add that.
Yeah. And maybe, I don't know, maybe. For the town, more of a priority than perhaps some of the ones that are in those people's yards that they're concerned about, if it's on their private property, and I don't know if there's some on the list, but I mean, I think that's where.
Mhm.
Where some of those individuals are going, right? They-
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, that's your call.
Yep. One question, and I just bring this up because it was identified to me by fire department out in Cornwall. That there are some trees that are touching that are getting tall.
Mhm.
I don't know what the fire chief was saying is when you're walking around, don't just look down, look up at the wires because those sparks can ignite the trees and the trees, one
Oh, wow.
spark can create a problem. So, as you're driving around, just check out too.
Yeah, okay, we can make a list.
Because they had actually a fire put out as a result of that one day.
And I've been to a couple of fires where it was literally just the tree touching the electrical wire and sets the tree on fire. So that's actually, it does happen.
Okay, anything else for Aaron? Aaron, anything else from you?
That's it for me now.
Okay, thank you very much. So Jennifer, you doing finance and sale one?
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, great.
I'll try to answer what, the finance questions, if there are any. And I believe some of this in the finance report does carry over, particularly with BEC. So we have had the kickoff meeting for the smart meters, for Berwick Electric to replace those in our utility. We've received, so this was the one we received funding for, but it's for the innovation piece of the smart meter. So it's for the customer portal, the load tracking data, billing, uh, setting us up for future electrification opportunities where we can send signals and dial back the load or the amount of energy being used to power a water heater in the future if we get into renting water heaters, like as a diversification for revenue for Berwick Electric. So these meters will really allow us to set up. It will allow us to do equal billing. It will allow us to do, we do time of use, but we might be able to do other more dynamic things with it. So we've attended the kickoff meeting for that. And that's proceeding. Later on, I do mention that we were not successful to move on with the Enercan SREP funding. So this was for our turbine and for the physical smart meters. So we do need to go back, and we'll be bringing it to BEC at the next meeting as to what the options are for moving forward in terms of financing of those pieces. And what that looks like. So I don't have the answers right now, but that is something that we will bring to the, I believe it's September 16th is we're hoping to have a Berwick Electric Commission meeting, and that will be discussed there. We have reached out to the Enercan to ask for feedback on the application. We've also been speaking with Cody Boyce about getting some information about the application. We are still moving forward to the second phase for the FCM Green Municipal Fund for the turbine. It's just not as great of a grant as the Enercan one, but it is still a great opportunity. So yeah, I'm moving forward with that application. And our owners engineer is working on that. We had our biannual Maritime Municipal Electric Utility Alliance meeting in Summerside, and I identified here the 4 projects that we're collaborating on that we received funding from ACOA to lead these projects. So the strategic roadmap, which will include an asset management program and life cycle and grid modernization planning for a utility is vital. When we did have the AIM network do some asset conditioning work for asset management, they didn't really focus on our electric utility. So this will be a great opportunity to take advantage of expertise from St. John Energy, Summerside, to really look at our utility assets and provide a long-term roadmap of what kind of upgrades and maintenance that we will be needing to look at. Similar with the cybersecurity penetration test and roadmap. So I don't know if that's what we got today, if any of you got that email about Town of Berwick compensation policy from HR at Berwick, but it wasn't really HR at Berwick. A few people sent it to me. I don't know if that was part of this test, because part of the test is not knowing when it's coming. But once the test is complete, we will receive a roadmap and a scorecard for how we perform so that we can make some changes to our cybersecurity for the town. The utility benchmarking has been an interesting exercise to go through. And there'll be a benchmark report card for the MMBUA, but there's also 20 other utilities across the country that have participated in this, but much larger ones that we potentially could also look at how we score on certain aspects with them. So we'll get some of that data back when that's completed. And then something new that I just kind of touched on with the smart meters is the electrification business plan. So we had the home program with the heat pumps, but we did an assessment. You could purchase a heat pump and potentially go to the credit union and get a low financing loan to do this. This electrification plan is looking at ways that we can rent heat pumps, hot water heaters, those are the 2 that come to mind, but there might be other things. And we're getting the revenue from the rental as opposed to your energy, that as we make energy more efficient and try to reduce the use of energy, your sales may go down or level out. And this is another way to diversify the revenue for the utility. And it's something that we know St. John Energy does really well, but it could be something that Berwick and the other utilities in Nova Scotia take advantage of. And so they would do a business plan and look at what that might look like for us going forward. We have identified that this isn't our priority right now, but if it's not going to take many resources from us to do this work and have a business plan put together, we're more than happy to know what this might look like for the future. But our priority right now is on the AMI meters and the turbine, getting those 2 things completed, as well as Solar Garden reconciliation. But one of the things is the transformer has been reinstalled at the Solar Garden. We are back to full production potential. So that's very exciting. Maybe I'll just leave it there and see if there's any questions for both the finance report and the CAO report.
Questions, Jennifer?
Maybe it's not you, Jennifer, but how's that contract working out on the keep maintenance on the grounds on the solar garden? It's dry, it's different than we probably anticipated.
Yeah.
And I meant to ask Karen, but
That's a good point. I haven't heard from them for a month.
that's a good thing, probably. But I also know that it's tinder dry out there,
Yeah.
some things. So.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
I have seen things to suggest that modified mitigation is keeping it short, even though it's dry. I'm just trying to look through to see it's been a while. I haven't heard from them for a while. They always let me know when they're coming and when they're finished. That's part of our hazard identification is, making sure anytime they're there, we know. But yeah, no, they haven't been there for a while. I can tell you that.
So, but we can follow up on
Yeah,
that, yeah.
I can, well, maybe Joey and I can go take a look tomorrow
Mhm.
and I can call them and just kind of see
The
where we're
reason I
at.
bring it up is that I know that Mahone Bay went to livestock management in it.
Yeah,
And they may be having challenges with livestock having enough to eat. And
oh, really?
Yeah.
if it's that tinder dry, and I just, at
Yeah.
some point, we should assess what is the best.
Oh,
avenue.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that when we awarded the 3-year contract, we had committed to looking at exploring other options and seeing what they're doing in Mahone Bay and what they may do in, I think they were looking at some kind of planting in Antigonish and getting that information before the end of the 3 years so we can make an informed decision on what we do in Berwick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
we've had a lot of informal discussion too about sheep and goats and rabbits and just what's gonna eat the brush without eating the conduits, and so far, I think sheep is probably
Yeah.
what we're hearing would be the best. Yeah, the goats will eat everything and they'll jump on the arrays.
They'll be on everything,
Yeah, yeah.
But Mahone Bay doesn't have the cabling system, so
Yeah.
that is something that,
We don't.
no, Antigonish does, so if they were to do. Sheep, then that would be a like for like that we could get some feedback on. And I believe, I'm not sure if Summerside was looking at sheep, so I can follow up with them on that.
Mhm.
But they also don't have a cabling system, so that is a unique aspect that Berwick has. I think we've heard that the sheep wouldn't eat it, but
That's
you
what
don't
we've
know
heard.
until you try it, right? Especially if, I think Aaron just said was if the food is low.
Yeah.
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 Because if you go to the concerns that the reported concerns that come in, the Berwick Electric Commission, where is one of the main concerns, and
Mhm.
it's obviously besides roadways.
Yeah.
And potholes, it's obviously something that is on the front and center. You have to be mindful of. So. Hey, thank you.
Is the Marsters Avenue situation, are we making an improvement or we just switch problems?
We've pretty much switched problems, but the more important thing is that our solicitor is off until.
You just said September to me.
Yeah. So what I need to do is follow up. So when I drove by, I noticed that most of the vehicles like the watercraft and another vehicle that was out front have been moved out back, but he's added another structure. And so we know that the structures are potentially allowed, but they're non-conforming because they don't meet certain things, and that becomes a development officer issue. So our development officer has come down to look at it herself, and we're just waiting to get some options on what our next step is. But I need to find out legally, where we had the order, but now they've been moved inside, can we go behind them? Because technically, with the full foliage, you can't really see some of the vehicles in behind the structure. But I believe they would meet the definition of derelict, but because they're hidden by the structure, does that mean we can go on and remove them? That's the legal piece I need our solicitor to provide some more insight into. Yeah.
All right, any other questions, Jennifer? Okay, that takes care of the department reports. Now we're gonna move back to the new business, which is the strategic planning and just kind of want to share where you are with that and are we able to?
I usually sent it to me, so do I have it? You just
What's-
gave it to me like this.
I never sent you an actual electronic version.
No, I just looked, searched for it and I don't
Okay.
have it.
So. We are still planning to do the strategic planning exercise. And I did think I'd give this as a handout, maybe I didn't send it electronically about the process that we're looking at doing. And we've sent this basic process out to 3 potential people.
Yes.
So the process that, kind of wanted to share with you, I'm sorry that I don't have a copy of this. Well, we could make some copies maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll start talking about, so is to hire a facilitator who begin a community workshop. And that he or she would facilitate community interest and we would identify from there kind of some strategic areas of what the community sees as priorities for us. And we can all probably envision what a lot of them would be, policing, the electrification or the green energy stuff, climate change and paving, like infrastructure kinds of stuff. So anyway, once we get a sense of what those are, and as well as doing that, we would look at a community survey to try to get some feedback on some of this. From there, we would take an approach where we would start to identify what we could possibly do, and we would create some task force around these topics to flush them out a little bit more. And that would be made up of staff, people from the community council, to sit down and spend a period of time to focus a little bit more and create some direction on it. You would, as a council, put some parameters of that, because as we know, in a lot of cases, with enough money, anything you can solve it. Well, that would be one of our challenges, is how much money are we talking about to do some of these things? And so there would be some of those parameters we would want to, and timeliness and kind of a period of time in which we would want some of the items to be done. And then we would,
John, did you have some? Yes. Okay. Yeah.
so, and then we would have this plan ready for December. It would help direct our budget. So that's kind of a pretty general view of the process. And once we engage a facilitator, I'm sure that he or she will have lots more suggestions about how the process could shake out a little bit more. So we're hoping to have one in place, I guess, by this in August. We're close. If we get some feedback and
September.
yeah, early September maybe. So I know I've been talking about a fair bit about doing this, and we've kind of committed to do it, and we're going to try to get it done around this process. So it could be some extra work for everybody in the fall as part of one of these task force or working groups, whatever we may call them, around a particular topic. And if we get, 6 or 7 major topics, then we may assign a counselor to sit on one each, or some kind of variation of that to help be part of each one of those to move them forward. So thoughts on that because hopefully we'll hear back from one of these people, and in the next couple of weeks, we'll sit down with them. So if we want to add more, do something different, I'd like to get your thoughts on it.
I guess when I think of it, I think of, what are our core priorities that we should be looking at, and probably, there's maybe 3, 4 of those, and the other ones would probably be stretch priorities that we may or may not be able to do, but I'm sure the citizens would like us to at least address them. So once you get past those, then it's looking at the budgets and where you're going to allocate the budgets to those in order to do them. And, all it is, you may not be able to do that street that we talked about earlier, or you may not be able to do that sidewalk, you know, if they aren't core priorities. Or you may not be able to replace that sign, it's. That gets blown down by the wind. But, you know, we should look at it, maybe not 5 or 6 or 7, but we should say, okay, these are the things we must do. And these are the things that we would like to do. Versus core versus stretch.
But let's think just on that top, the core stuff that we do, if they fit under one of the major topic areas, like policing. We're well engaged in doing some policing stuff. There's been the provincial service that ties in to it. So we don't go down a road of doing something entirely different than some of the core stuff we're doing now that's kind of put on the plate for us to do. We look at how the community feedback and like look task forcing it a little bit, what additional things might support that. But there may be those new ones that the community comes up, like you say. So we may have 3 or 4 core ones that will fit under this, and then some other ones that become less of a priority from the core ones. Yeah, we don't overlook in this process all the stuff that we're doing now, or the major stuff that we're doing now. It's Councilor.
So when I think of a strategic plan, I think that usually you start out figuring out kind of what your vision is, what it is that you want to be in the future. And then based on that, identify sort of your core values and your principles under which you would operate. And then from there, you go down and say, okay, what fitting under those, what are our objectives for the next little while, or what are our goals, or what are the things that we need to work on. But then as we work on them, each one of them comes back to, does this fit our principles, our values, you know, the vision that we want to get to. So I think I just take a different approach to get to, and definitely there's certain things that you have to do as a town that you can't stop doing just simply because you don't like doing them or whatever, because they need to be done. And so definitely things like, you know, why do we do policing? Well, we have policing because we're concerned about the safety and security of our residents. We want a town that, you know, is safe. Or why do we do beautification? You know, because, you know, when so you can, you know, but that's, so knowing what it is that people sort of see as what's most important for them. Or, you know, I think, you know, when Aaron talks, quite often he talks about wanting to think about what the town is going to be in 2050, because that's kind of, you know, like always making your decisions with that kind of values and future look. And I'm sure that's what a facilitator, how they'll lead.
That's that community piece, that's where we focus on that, right? And then the values, the vision, and then so what are some of the things we could do to get to that vision? And that's where you come up with those general kinds of things, and then you workshop, we're task forcing to flush it out as to what it means, what you can do. But you're right on, I should have put that more in that community workshop piece. That's what we want citizens to do on these.
Just a question. Has the town done strategic planning in the past? And if so, do we have any reports that already exist so that we aren't plowing the same field again? It's already plowed.
Yes.
Okay.
We've done 2 that I can remember. One was related more to a requirement by the federal government to put together for what they perceived as the gas tax money that was coming out. And we have quite a little document. We had some core areas like economic development, and I think we've shared
So
that.
in the RD where we say environmental, economic, social, cultural, that came from the ICSP. But they're really hard to define. Like the definitions are very flowery. They don't really, so that's why we don't normally write anything beside it as to how it meets that priority area, because social and cultural are actually tied together in the strategic, priorities, but to me, that's what, as staff, we would love to be able to tie decisions back to what your priorities, what your principles are, and that would be the intention of the RFD, and that's where we took it from, is
Right,
that,
which is kind of an older document,
Yeah.
and it just gives us a basis framework, but it never did get us into any specific goals so much, it just left it at that level. And the other one that we did was, Meg Hodges actually led that,
Mhm.
and I can't remember, do you remember, were you part of that one, Derek? Was it our last term?
Yeah,
I remember, I think we had Meg Hodges in there one evening for like 2 hours, and we did a bunch of stuff on the flip chart.
Yeah.
and that's
And-
what we.
Yeah, that's, you
Provided.
inherited that, or were you part of that?
No, I was part of it,
Okay.
so you would have noticed that last year up until this, well, even up until before Christmas, I believe, or even as far back as, or soon as maybe even the last committee reports or department reports that came forward, when we listed department or council priorities, that's where we took them from. The unfortunate thing was we didn't really move past. Council identified the priorities as these are our must-dos, like to do, may do or something,
Yeah.
and we didn't really have a discussion about maybe what takes priority over what, in those must-dos, and so we as staff tried to communicate back on them, but it needed some more additional work, so we've had like little pieces done of everything, but to make it meaningful back to both council and to the public, I think that's what as staff, I would hope to get out of this process as
So
well.
neither one of them involved the public.
No, I
The
didn't.
first one was PAC driven, so there were a couple of members, and then that one was the one we did was.
Yeah.
So it wasn't very elaborate, or just.
I just didn't want us to plow the same field again if it's been plowed before.
I will say that the MPS, if you read the MPS, the front section talks about the vision and guiding principles,
I know.
and Crystal pulled for Brighter Communities, pulled from the ICSP document to try to update those. But then I believe like green energy was added. I don't know if that's what she called it exactly, but in some ways, I think that we should almost take that, even if it is approved as what it is, but use that as a starting point for the discussions with the community.
Yeah.
Because it is our main planning document, and we should really do that litmus test of, we didn't look for feedback on that through the MPS, but maybe this is the time that we can do that and really make it what it needs to be to provide that.
Gives us a starting point and then we can modernize it.
Yes.
Yeah, I think what, so the point that we wanna make with the public and even ourselves, it goes back to the work that we're doing now and the work that's done. We don't wanna start this whole exercise from scratch. Like, we're not going in there saying, we want a brand new vision, we want a brand, like, we have been working very hard. We've got a lot of things that are directing our work, even things that we don't so much have control over, but are part of MGA things of which we're required to do. Like, there's that kind of stuff that's there. So we just can't, we don't just go off willy-nilly with a public meeting and come up with a whole wish list, and that becomes, shut down public works, because now we want to focus on it, like, we can't do that. That's not, and that's an important point in this. We don't just start everything from scratch, so. Okay. Any other comments or thoughts on this?
I have a comment, Mike,
Yeah.
and I just mentioned it because it kind of overlaps a bit. I got a call from a resident last Friday. I didn't catch her name, but she said she lives on Cottage. But she had attended the stormwater management meeting, and she's been to one of your coffee meetings.
Okay,
And she called me directly asking if there was any interest in doing what she was calling primers. Let's say a quarterly meeting or a monthly meeting where we talk about our wastewater system, our storm, our streets and sidewalks, what are our street priorities for the next 5 years? I'm looking at my notes. She mentioned wastewater, storm, street sidewalks, and she mentioned capital planning. You know, how do we come up with our capital priorities as a town? You know, so she wasn't she was looking at it more from an educational standpoint for residents.
Hmm.
But in a way, that's a piece of, the next step of educating the public is getting their feedback, informed feedback, which would ultimately feed into what you're mentioning, so.
Interesting.
That could even work in the form of a coffee.
Yeah,
meeting.
conversation, I mean,
Right.
so maybe we hit on some of those topics.
Yeah,
It would have been a good question at our budget one, like, how did you come up with that?
yeah.
Those budget priorities for capital. Yeah,
I mean, it's certainly something I would be interested in spearheading. And I think I could see it feeding into things like the budget and priorities, right? I mean, we see the world, we see Berwick from our perspective and they see it from their perspective. And when you take all these perspectives, you get a bigger picture, right? So.
yeah, yeah. I mean, a big part of this exercise in the education is how we identify priorities. And it's not the most people or the loudest people at a public meeting that set the town's priorities.
Better not be.
Right? It's just, we gotta make sure people realize that, well, everybody in the room right now wants to make sure you pave, Penzance. Well, yeah, but this is how we decide that, not by a show of hands in the room at that night. Like, it's just not the process part that's important. Anyway, okay, but we'll keep working on this. We'll keep bringing it back, and as we get more, hopefully we'll hear something from one of these people.
Yep.
Very soon. Okay. I'll send you that.
Or I'll tell us first to take it. But if you have it, that'd be great.
Have it, I pulled a brand new one. Committee reports. So. They are there. I guess maybe we can, we'll work our way through them. The first one on the list is area. We did have a meeting in January 16th. I think from our point of view, the biggest part of that meeting was the solar garden cost reconciliation and, we seem to be in a different spot than the other two municipalities around reconciling what's going on with the solar garden expenditures. It's just, and we've brought that up and we asked for some third-party work on this. I think my take on it was that we had some lukewarm support without them completely understanding it all. Based on not having their information, us maybe not being as in-depth as we could have with the issues. So we did have agreement to continue to work on it with area, and we are going to try to continue to work on it with the area. Jennifer mentioned in a report for upcoming is to put together a better document to put in front of them that talks about the principles of the cost allocations with the solar garden. And we've been kind of focusing on one area around, who has the biggest farm, and that's percent that you pay, or the biggest solar gardens. We have the biggest one, 54%, so we pay 54% everything. Well, there's other examples in other places where that doesn't work. Although costs have been allocated to each municipality, mostly on that formula, but not always, so it's been inconsistent. So we have some of those that we want to share with the board to give them a better understanding and to perhaps review this, because as we've had at BEC and then lots of conversation about why we can't seem to get this done, and we know that we need to. So we do have a meeting coming up in September that will present some of this. Any questions on that? I mean, we could spend a lot of time on this issue, and I can tell you that Jennifer and Lisa have spent a lot of time, and we've engaged Karen, that's cost us money to do a lot of review in this, and she's done a thorough review. So,
And even the rest of finance staff have been,
Right.
Are required to do the double checking things and.
Yeah. So, I mean, Derek, any comments on that last meeting as to how it was received and kind of?
Well, I think there is a difference of opinion on how things should have been developed. Probably the parameters weren't set out
Mhm.
correctly to start with in project management. And now that we're through it,
Mhm.
it's hard to go back and say, well, this didn't happen and this didn't happen. So if you can come up with a formula that is agreeable,
Mhm.
I think that's where the CAOs have to get together and discuss it, or the finance staff have to get together and hammer out a solution so that we can move forward
Yeah.
as an organization area.
Yeah, I think we have the information. I think the board now just needs to give direction to the GM on this is how costs are allocated. Because it's more about finding communication from 2 years ago that clearly states how things are gonna be done, and it's not consistently applied that way. But now it's become well, the CEOs need to discuss that, and to me, this is just, someone just needs to tell everyone that these are the principles we've agreed to. Now you just need to go back and make sure they apply correctly to all invoices.
Which is what we're gonna try to do at the next meeting, is back up the bus. Bring in these principles that should have been done day one
And they
before
weren't.
shovel went in the ground. Which is, and we have good examples of where some of them already exist. Where it could have been done differently, right? And where we've got indication that it was supposed to be done. Yeah.
Right, so we're not asking to drastically change the costing formula at all. It's really about applying the logic that they've applied to certain invoices to all invoices that are in that vein. So, for example, a legal invoice that was applied 54% to Berwick, 20 to one, and 23 to the other. For something that is related to the general review of a contract. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Should it have been 1/3? I think so, but we're not gonna get into that argument because they agreed to how that would be. But a legal invoice that's related to a technical issue to a solar garden, not Berwick, we should not have to pay that 54% of that invoice because it was a technical issue related to, say, Mahone Bay.
Mhm.
And there's examples where that already has been done, but now as we're reviewing new invoices, we're being told that, no, we agreed to this formula. So it's just getting that general. I didn't have all these examples at our last meeting, which I think really couldn't drive home the points that we were trying to get across, but now personally having reviewed, spending 7 hours on last week going through all of the invoices myself that were recently charged back to us, I do have a better understanding, and I think that they're not. It shouldn't be hard to get consensus that if this is how it was applied and we have an email stating this is how it was done, we just need that top-down direction to get it done and move forward.
But the financial services officers and the CAOs of each municipality have to understand that in order for them, and the board members, to put a direction to you to say, we'll do that.
To me, well, yes and no, but to me, it's, you've been doing this for 4 years now. If it was done for the first 2 years, why isn't it done for the second 2 years? Like what's changed other than Berwick asking for more clarity on things? And now that we have received a report that says this is how we divvy things up, the staff that are not decision makers, just listening to what their boss is telling them to do, is using that formula and applying it in every situation as opposed to direct cost should go directly to a shoulder garden not shared by this percentage. And that's what we just need clarity on, and someone to say, logically, that makes sense. Yes, go back and make sure that's the logic applied to all invoices.
Yeah, I don't see why we would pay Mahone Bay if something on their solar farm would break.
Yeah, so like legal was the same legal person for all of the solar farms, so when a legal invoice came in, it's automatically split up by the size of your solar garden. But on certain invoices, it's related to a legal issue that was a local issue, not a general issue. And to me, a local issue should be borne by that municipality, not by all of us. And for the first 2 years, that's how things were billed. And then as we've had new people come in and applying a shared formula that this is what we said we were doing for these invoices. It's just, again, getting that logic, like, this makes sense.
Yeah.
And we have emails to support this from previous GMs and staff, that this is how it was done. So we just need this to me is at the point where the board needs to say,
Yeah.
this is what needs to happen.
So you will have, or there will be some sort of chronological order. to this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Way more information than what we provided.
I just want to see the chronological order of.
Yeah.
How it.
And the various principles and examples of where it was.
We have true examples now where I can say this invoice, for example, this invoice and show you was charged like this, whereas this invoice was charged like this, and this is the email where it says we try to put all costs related to specific projects charged to that specific project. So I think that we have that supporting documentation now, where at the last meeting we didn't, and we were trying to have a very technical conversation without the technical information, and now we will have that.
Thank you.
Okay, the next one on the list, and do we have, Valley Regional Services? Justin, that was a meeting you attended,
Oh,
we
yeah.
were at,
I can, sorry, my bad. I just figured since we didn't have the thing, I didn't do the report, but basically they're still looking at replacing the buses. Few of our buses have arrived and we recently purchased, and they're in great condition, better condition than what they actually operated in. The used ones that we purchased from Ontario, they're still looking for which way we're gonna go, electrification, hybrid, clean diesel, mix of both, microbusing, No real decisions were made. We're moving forward with projects at Valley Waste. They had to postpone the purchase of the electrified bulldozer or front end loader, just because stuff wasn't ready. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Looking at, this is interesting, they were looking for names, and GM put names forward for the new transit system to incorporate all 3 counties. Nobody seemed to like any of the names that were presented today. So I made the suggestion, just off the top of my head, okay, why not Tri-County? We have Kings, Annapolis and Digby, 3 counties, Tri-County Transit, there it is. And everybody agreed to it, so now that's going off to see if we can actually name the company that, so.
No one brought up that there is already one that exists.
In Canada?
In Nova Scotia, Tri-County Transportation or Tri-County.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a Tri-County
Is there?
Transportation Company already, yeah. Yeah,
Is it Tri-County Transit, or is it Tri-County Transport?
well, it would be I would think it would be confusing. There's a Tri-County, yeah, isn't it like Kings Point joint, but it's,
Member of the RTA.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
nobody brought that up.
well, maybe at the next meeting.
Yeah, the next meeting, I got that.
Think about another name.
Yeah. Yeah, when you try to do a name change, that,
It's hard.
there will be a legal search.
Oh,
Tri-County Transportation, Tri-County Transit, Tri-County Transit Services came come up.
Oh,
One's in Nova Scotia, one's in Maine, and the other's in outside of Philadelphia, so.
Okay, what's the one in Nova Scotia called?
Tri-County Transportation. Well, yeah, it's hard to find a name that.
What was wrong with the Annapolis Valley Transit?
Because Digby isn't part of the Northwest Valley.
Well, they are in the.
They, the town is considered to be the end of the valley, but the county gets kind of.
Yeah.
Well,
Goes up over the hill, yeah, just
Yeah.
like Kings County does and like Annapolis County, they're on both sides of the,
Yeah.
So,
So,
yeah.
very nice.
thanks, Justin. So let's move on to diversity.
Actually, can I just ask?
Oh, yeah, sure. Sorry.
So Justin.
Yes.
Were the buses that were purchased as sort of the interim buses, are they accessible? Cause I noticed, okay, cause I noticed one day when I was walking, a woman with a walker had real difficulty getting onto the bus, cause the bus that came up was not one that lowered down, so she actually dropped all of her bags as she tried to lift her walker up and stuff like that, and so I wondered if that was why, because it was definitely not a bus that lowered.
Yeah, no, none of the newer ones are even on the road yet, so it would have been one of our older ones.
It's one of her old ones, okay, yeah.
And these newer ones, they meet all standards, so I was told.
Good, okay, thank you. So now I'll do my
Okay.
report. So Diversity Kings meeting was the same day as their public hearing, so I didn't make it. Heather Morris went in my place. It was a very brief meeting, the only meeting we've had this summer. And the only important things that I gathered from discussion with Heather following the meeting were, was a presentation on words matter, and it was really looking at certain words that are really commonly used, that have very different connotations depending on your own background, and being aware of what those differences are. I can't tell you any more about that other than one of the words that apparently came up was the word picnic.
No, I've
Yeah.
heard that recently, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not an appropriate term.
Because of,
Yourself.
No, because of.
Get over
Well-
yourself, picnic, really.
well,
It has negative
it
connotation.
has, because it was, yeah, and I can't give you the explanation, but I think there's it's like, well, various words that we've taken from other contexts
Mhm.
that the way that we use them now,
Yeah.
isn't appropriate, but that's the comment. And then there's been lots of summer events, but in particular note, there is the multicultural event. And I didn't put the name of the event in my written report, I didn't even notice that. Multicultural celebration at Kentville. Center stage, and I mean.
Square. Center Square.
Center Square. I obviously did this one in a real hurry. I'm reading it now, going. I read this anyway, which was on Sunday. I was planning to make it and just got tied up with other stuff, but it's an annual event, and I'm going to make sure I stick it in my calendar next year because it's a multicultural event. There's lots of music and dance and food, and it's very well attended apparently, and a fun event. And other than that, the next meeting is, I think, coming up next week, so September 8th.
That's what you have.
Yeah, September 8th, because it's the first Monday of the month, but the first Monday of the month is a holiday, so the week. So, yeah, okay,
Question,
yes.
did they come up with an alternative word for picnic?
Well, I don't know. I don't think, well, I think there is an alternative word, but Heather couldn't remember what it was, and said, check on that. It means something quite different to some people. So,
I just remembered what it means, but I'm not going to try to explain it right now. 'Cause
yeah. Yeah. So, but I mean, it's really helpful sometimes to actually hear some of the background from people who actually understand it and experience the negative feelings when they hear the word.
Mm.
And I think that's sort of helpful sometimes.
Any questions on that one? Okay, so the next one is Remo, and you'll see the, Dan Stoll's report,
Oh, yeah.
motions there, and he can certainly provide far more detail than I can at the meeting as to what, it's always hard to pick out what the priorities, we whipped through a whole lot of stuff. And as usual, there was a whole lot of stuff and updates there, particularly, the presentation on the new department and reimbursement policies and some of those kinds of things that, but Dan is certainly very well prepared and, quite able to deal with issues as they arise, so. If there's any questions? Okay, let's move on. So that takes us to Police Services Advisory. And do we have
No,
we do not have a report on that one?
no, we just had discussions on ATV. You were all there at that special meeting. I did an ATVs on the ground. Bruce's thing got canceled. And that's pretty much it. We were supposed to have a meeting, get Bruce.
Oh, sorry, no, the oath of office is something everyone has to
Oh.
do. But I forgot to invite Krista, who who signs off on the oaths, to the meeting, so, but Bruce has been officially appointed,
Okay. And,
as the provincial rep.
and the provincial guys were trying to come down and talk to us too.
So we did have that presentation, and I don't know if you wanna talk about the minister meeting in your CA or your.
In the mayor's report, we can, I mean, so we had the, policing kind of 101 presentation from staff from the department, and it was just shortly after the report was released about policing in Nova Scotia and the review and the work they did on that. So they shared a lot of that with us, which is quite valuable. And one of the things that came out after that was that the minister was going to come and have a more detailed conversation with. We were hoping she was going to come to Berwick, talk specifically about Berwick. We could invite people from Berwick. It was mayor CAOs come to Kings County from the towns in the county. I don't even think Canfield was invited, were they?
They weren't, because they have their own municipal police force, and what I sort of gathered through at the AMA board meeting was that they met individually with the municipal
did they?
police forces, so they would have, instead of bringing everyone from Kings County together to talk about it, they talked to those that were part of RCMP, and then they would have had a separate meeting with Canfield.
Okay, yeah. So the report was, or the presentation was very similar to what the staff provided us, and there are 6 major areas of which they want to move forward on. Is some of the key pieces coming from that. One of them is around layered policing, which, and there's not a lot of detail, but the layered policing is the opportunity for each municipality to look at what levels or what layers you might want to enhance your policing service. There's opportunity around community safety officers and those kinds of things, of which we don't really know what that means or haven't seen a job description, but there's that kind of conversation. One of the other principles is around the funding formula, and they're moving away from that per officer funding. It doesn't mean it's gonna be cheaper. He did indicate there would be more provincial dollars going in. But it doesn't mean that municipal forces will cost us less.
it may mean we have more opportunity to look at what kind of service we would like to have, and that layered policing is around that, and whether or not we need to be able to pick from a menu and pay accordingly. There was more indication that will pay based on the size of your community, and they'll do an assessment around that. So there's a lot of details to be worked out on it yet. Yeah, Jennifer, I mean, there's a whole report that could share that.
So we did share the report, both the Deloitte report
Oh,
and
okay.
the,
Her presentation.
oh, not, we didn't get a copy of that yet.
Okay,
I made notes all
Sorry.
over.
So me
I
too.
could
yeah.
Scan it in, but, we can reach out to get a copy of it, of that presentation. It was the same one, I think they might have presented it at the NSFM meeting as well.
Right,
Uh,
yeah, so there was an NSFM hosted a meeting for all municipalities. 2 days later, was it the next
The
day?
next day,
The next
yeah.
day.
And we felt we
Yeah.
got enough at the one-on-one.
Yeah, and I think from what I heard from those that did attend the NSFM one, it focused a lot on the municipal forces, or the municipalities that have their own force, and some of their issues are, and so we probably were, we were wise not to waste our time to go in, because what we needed to get, we got the day before. So, watch come out of it yet, but I mean, the optimistic people will look at this as a great opportunity, and there could be a lot of change, and we can, create a better service and a cost that we feel far more comfortable about. Others will look at it and say it'll never happen, because there's just so much work that needs to go into that, so much more funding from the fact that they're talking about having to expand the police force in Nova Scotia because they're 300 officers short. So how is that even gonna happen to be able to provide the services they think they wanna put in this layered policing thing? Like, there's just so many things that need to be dealt with to be able to make all those pieces happen. Yeah, we'll need to see how it goes, I guess. Not that we're not gonna take an optimistic approach to and being prepared for that, and it's I think the strategic planning piece that we do and what we get from the community will feed into that. I was gonna share this on the mayor's report, but I'll share it now as well. Pat Jodry has, who is a member of the police advisory board, has offered to do some things as a volunteer for the advisory committee. So we didn't know what that meant, but we sat down with her and said, what do you think it means, and what do we think it means? And, so some of the engaging the public in some ways, or businesses, and increasing kind of the profile and the opportunity of the police advisory board to try to get more feedback from the community is some of the things we've talked about. And we kind of sent her off a bit to kind of write down the things you think that we could do, and we'll start to gather more information that will help us in moving forward with some of the opportunities that's coming out of this. And we want to be ready, I guess, is the key, or find a way if we can have input more directly and help pilot or create some things that we think needs to be done in our policing, then we can try to move forward on some of that and be, be more, to get ahead of it as best as we can if there's opportunity, so. Jennifer? Yeah.
So did you get a sense that it was them dictating as to what we would be doing, or that they would be open to input as we go forward?
I think that was the message they're trying to put forward. They're making changes to give us an opportunity to look at what layers of policing services that we want. So some of the layered, some of the cost formula, they seem to be giving us some opportunity to have some input around what our costs could be and what the formula they might use. But at the end of the day, that's the question, how much will really change, and if they're still contracting the RCMP to provide the service, how much can the RCMP change in the way they deliver a service to meet what the Nova Scotia Policing Services branch of Department of Justice wants them to do? Right, it's a national police service, training in Regina, you know. Big ship, how are they gonna turn that whole thing around, especially when you only want one little tiny piece of the national Canada to switch in Nova Scotia. 50 million people that they police, or well, probably less than that with Tiggins. And you know, you got 500,000 that they want to have a different service for. I mean, so that's some of the reality, some of the negativity you look at it with this, but you know, if they can do it, it could mean.
So we're one cog in there. And they are open to.
Yeah.
To input.
That's,
From
I
myself.
think their message wasn't pretty much.
How much that info will
Yeah.
be taken? Don't know.
Okay, so in Valley Ren, you see the report from them. So the regional marketing levy has come quite an interesting discussion. Did I see they canceled that meeting?
They canceled that.
There was a joint council meeting for us to go
Yeah.
hear more about how that's rolling out, and you guys met on that as well, the CAOs and.
Yeah, so that's interesting because we did meet, oh, sorry. No, cancel meaning you got a cancellation from Krista?
No, we got a cancellation on the joint meeting that was gonna happen in September to present this to all councils.
Yeah, we'll work to do
Yeah, at the end.
Did you get it from me?
Yep.
Mhm. But
Yeah,
then you
no.
should have got another one.
But you should have, it's on the 17th. You look on your calendar.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry. So I'm like,
It came out twice, the 15th and 17th, so it should be in your calendar for the
Okay,
17th.
there it is in my calendar, the 17th.
Okay.
Okay, 'cause I-
clarified that one.
because I did, it's interesting, I received an email from Genevieve this afternoon, but I hadn't read it yet, so I was like, oh, did that go to everyone? Did it get canceled?
So do you
And
have it on the
then-
17th? If you haven't
Yeah.
accepted it,
5:30.
Yes, yeah, so it is, and I was like, I just met last week with the CAOs, and.
yeah, it was duplicated on the 15th and 17th, and Jen pointed it out that it was I
Okay.
don't know why it
Uh-huh,
was twice, so.
so it's on the
15th.
17th.
So it is
It's
still
on,
happening.
it's good, okay, good.
And I just received all of the documents and information that I will forward to everyone tomorrow. So there's lots of reading if you want, but there's also some short summaries that you can take a look at as well.
That's at the old Orchard Inn?
Yes, yeah.
It doesn't say that, there is an address. Okay, 153 Greenwich. Yeah, that's the old Orchard.
Yeah, that's the old orchard, so it doesn't come up when you put the
Okay.
location, it just actually has this, but that is where it is. Sorry.
All right, can we move, do we have any correspondence?
Any correspondence that came in that was just general, was just put to the, in the counselor's mail, like the SharePoint, and I don't believe there might have been a couple items that were dumped in, but nothing regular and nothing to bring to council's attention for tonight.
There was an article there, point to point.
Oh, yes, I got,
I don't know if everybody saw that.
pretty sure I got put in there, Chris. I know you'd mentioned it because of,
Yes, where is that?
it's on SharePoint.
Thought I did see that earlier, but I'm not seeing it here now.
That's purely in the agenda package.
Okay, you sent it out afterwards, okay.
It's correspondence,
It's-
so it's in
okay.
the correspondence folder in SharePoint.
Okay,
And then that just reminded me that we did reach out to Jeff, but we need to follow up again to do some training.
Yeah, he's just looking at his calendar. Cause he thought what he would do, as opposed to doing a joint, like, meeting with everybody to come and do that. He was gonna be here a day or two and do one-on-ones with everybody, cause everybody's sort of at a different starting point. So he wanted to bring at least then everybody up to the same level.
Okay.
So your issues, like Derek's issues might be different than what Mike's issues are with SharePoint. So he didn't wanna do a group one, cause it's like, I don't even know where we're starting. So he thought that might be better to have one-on-ones with everybody, so he wanted to sort of look at his calendar once vacations were done and things like that.
Okay.
To come and, like I said, be here like on a Wednesday or whatever day works for everybody, and whatever works can pop in and spend an hour with him and make sure everybody's password is right, that you can actually get into your meetings, that you're not pulling, because I think that's what a lot of it is you're pulling files that you've already opened and then new files because you're not logged in or there's a problem with the login.
Mm.
So it's just to sort of do that, but then other people are quite advanced and
You can start at the bottom. What's SharePoint?
so I think that would work better than a night or a afternoon of just reviewing stuff that may not be relevant to some. Chris, I'm not seeing that there. I'll double check, Chris. I'm pretty sure, I thought I had dumped that
I
in there,
don't see it
but
in the folder.
I'm gonna see that it did get in there. Might have been a flub on my part.
We'll move on to the mayor's report then, let's see some of the things I attended. I wanted to highlight, the, couple things, couple of, one that's on there, one, a couple that aren't. Cody Boyce meeting that we had today. He had, what was his name? Anthony,
I didn't get.
House father, yeah, who is, who's an MP from the Montreal area, who is, what do they call those positions?
The assistant to the
Yeah, he is
minister
of the energy management,
of emergency.
emergency management and, yeah, department. And so was in the province. And so we had a good round table of bringing up issues with, primarily around emergency management, but not solely. Some municipalities brought up other things and some of them stretched the emergency management stuff and, but I think it was a good conversation, but the other piece that Jennifer and I did was to nail down a meeting with Cody Boyce for September, have him come and talk about, well, a lot of things that we're doing to bring them up to speed and hopefully get a bit of an update. As Jennifer mentioned, we having a political appeal in for that grant that we didn't get through Cody. And he's been gonna do some legwork on that for us and we've shared documents with him, so hopefully we'll,
Yeah.
you know.
I realized we started that process before he was our MP,
Yeah,
and
it
so
was,
we do in the future need to make sure he has that information up front,
Yeah.
but that was one of the things is.
and we would have talked about that had we done a meeting immediately after he was elected. Because I had talked to him about that, we
But I
never did get it,
believe it was already submitted.
right,
Yeah.
but we had brought him up to speed before we had.
Oh,
an answer.
sorry, yes, yes.
So anyway, so that, I just wanted to share that, that was a, you know, a great opportunity to talk about a lot of emergency management issues, including funding. So. I want to talk about a little bit, if I can, the, council coffee session that is scheduled for September 9th at the fire hall. So our topic was, let's talk energy, and we wanted to talk about, what's going on with the solar garden, what's going on with the wind farm, or what's going on with the hydro plant, what's going on with that Enercan application and the smart meters and those kinds of things. So we have people secured to come and talk about each one of those topics. Glenn is gonna come from St. John to help talk about the Enercan, and Ray Rob is gonna come talk about the wind farm, and what's his name, Xavier? Javier, call him Xavier. Javier is gonna talk about the hydro plant. So we've got people in place to kind of come and do the same kind of thing, just as a, but I guess one of my questions is it most timely to do that now, or should we divert our topic to policing and get into a little bit more on the policing report that's out and our opportunities to talk about that?
I'll say leave it as is.
I think leave it as is. I mean, I like to get more sort of general conversations about Berwick Electric or electric stuff than I do about policing on the streets.
Leaving it to the next one.
Okay. Yeah. One of our challenges that we're gonna have that day that is, we don't have answers to stuff that we simply should have answers to, like, the solar garden, what's it cost? We're still, as we talked about earlier, we may have to stick handle around that a bit, and we may, but it's the reality we're dealing with, so there's no, we wanna be open and transparent to the community and ask us a simple question, or it seems like a simple question, we don't have a good answer for, well, we'll have to eat that and deal with that, but could be what happens,
And we also were hoping to have better news on the funding application, so when we talk about the meters and the turbine, we don't have positive news about how that will impact rates. We don't actually know how it will. We haven't done that information yet, so we would be able to have some clear information if we did do that at a different time as well.
yeah. So we would be, we could overall, we'll be sharing all the wonderful things we're doing. We just may, may not have answers to things, or may come up. I think some of the feedback I received after the last one, not so much about the process, but the message they got was, geez, town's broke, we have no money, we can't do anything. Right, cause we gave that kind of the situation in our budget and how we are and how tough it is and how we're trying to save money, be able to do things. I mean, that was kind of the message we got. The interpretation took it to that doom and gloom for some people. I'm not so sure I want to do that again with our solar garden and our, but I also don't feel we need to, sugarcoat anything that's not real for us either. So that's why I wanted to kind of see what you think on this one. I'm not sure we have a whole lot more information to share on the policing thing that gives them, other than we'll get to hear about more so than we'll be sharing. And, thoughts,
So what date is that? The next
September 9th.
September 9th council meeting then?
That's right. Now, the other thing is we don't have to do either one right now. And we haven't started to promote September 9th, other than preliminarily way back when we did the other one, we said it's coming up in September and, but.
What time?
Is it not?
Well, what, 9:30?
9:30?
Yeah.
Good evening.
No, in the morning, because we have council meeting.
I was gonna say,
That's gonna be a
Yeah.
day of,
No, it's
it's a day of meetings, so it's straight through, right? Just meeting all afternoon, so yeah.
should have some good news to bring.
Yeah,
All I can
that's-
say.
Yeah, no, it's,
And, the only good news that I've heard recently on the energy side and clean energy side is there's a new CEO or allocated to the provincial power infrastructure.
Johnny someone.
Hmm?
His first name's Johnny.
Johnny, yeah.
I don't remember his last name.
Is
He's British.
this the independent
It's the independent
regulator?
regulator, yeah.
Okay.
He was on the news yesterday or the day before and was talking about wind turbines and
Mhm.
offshore wind turbines and.
Mhm.
And how the infrastructure needs to change and how we have to hit 80%.
Mhm.
So that's the only good news I've heard recently is.
Yeah.
The other good news was that the transformer is back and.
Yeah.
Yeah, those
We're
are back up and ready.
at 100%.
Yeah.
There will be
Uh,
questions of what, you know.
Now, but where Nova Scotia Power has been offline and their cyber attack, like we can't tell you exactly what the difference between the power generated, like what savings we're having
Yeah.
from the solar garden, because we're not getting billed exactly because they don't have a meter. Um, taking that, and then it goes to area who runs calculations and then sends it to us. So there is some of that information that we can't answer directly right now. You know, I think what we would really like to do is be able to answer the capital application for the solar garden has been, that paper hearing has completed. We're just waiting for a decision on it. The important thing to note is the decision does not directly impact rates because it just says this is the amount you can recover in your rates. But then you have to do a general rate application to request for your rates to change to cover that. But those types of questions are things that we don't have straight answers for at this time. But we might later in the fall be able to put together better information to share with the public on it.
Yeah.
Um,
Or not, or there's something else that changes and that,
but yeah,
yeah, that we, you know, it doesn't. Delaying doesn't necessarily mean we're gonna be in a better situation, we may be in a different situation, it doesn't ever be, might not be better as far as anything, I mean. We, at a higher level, we have some really good stuff that we're doing.
Yeah.
Here, if we keep it that way, and we just recognize that, whoa, that person just asked us a real zinger of a question that we might not be able to answer that. Probably we
Yeah.
should have been able to, or but I don't, so.
So
Counselor,
we're talking power. When can you expect the dam to be operational?
well, we don't know, we didn't get the funding. So that's one of the pieces of information that Jennifer just shared earlier. We didn't get the grant to continue to do it on the timeline that we wanted to. So we're hoping that maybe we can, if we can salvage that, maybe we can bring back on a timeline. We don't know what other federal funding may be available. There is some, but not to the same amount. So we may have to borrow more money. We may not be in a position to do that. Like the options we'll have to run by the electric commission, which we don't know.
which won't happen until after the 9th.
Right. Yeah.
So have we definitively put out the 9th as a date? to
No.
No,
no,
no, that's only been internal. Yeah.
I don't think we have enough information on either topic.
I don't think we should meet on the 9th unless we have something good to talk.
Yeah, we have all the information. It's the questions related to how are you funding it? What's the impact on my rates gonna be? We don't have answers to those questions right now. And I think that's what they want. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was sharing with Mike, you know, some of that rate information, we might be able to do, like, we typically haven't done that in-house. We've contracted out for when we go for a general rate application. But if we aren't going to have to apply for general rate applications in the future, there's still work that needs to be done, and we need to understand that internally to be able to complete those calculations so that we can answer these types of questions to the general public when we have large capital projects and what that means for the rate base. So what the timeline on that is, I'm not 100% sure, but we can get a better timeline on it so that when we do have a meeting. And the most important question is, what does this mean for my rates? Hopefully we'd be able to provide a better understanding of what that means.
Let's put it off till October. We'll do our council party in October and then we'll decide in the next little bit as to if we wanna stick with the energy or switch to something else. You know, Aaron had the conversation with somebody there in Cottage Street about some other areas that we could easily do capital planning. We could do, you know, talk about something else for sure. Okay. We good with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that, you know, there's some good things to talk about, but it's not gonna get to the meat that people will want.
I think, right, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think we want that meat to be able to share, yeah, for sure.
And the other thing for a date is, September 18th, which Katie mentioned, it's Don Riggins, celebration of life, I guess we're calling it that. We have been working a bit with the family around organizing that event and, yeah, so,
I realized that I only shared that with staff, not with, I sent it in an email. But
Yeah,
I
don't
realized
send
I
that.
didn't.
I'll send it.
yeah, okay.
Just a calendar invite, that way
Okay.
it's in your calendar.
And the obituary was in the newspaper, but do you have a copy of that?
I'll
Send that
attach
around.
that to
Yeah.
the
And
invite,
And we
I'll
will
send that to
have,
Arians.
sorry, we
Yeah.
will have a invitation or a notice about of the celebration of life. I did say we would do that after that we will share, that you can share with others. Well, I checked with Dawn's sister and she's happy with us to post it on our social media and share it with others. So we need to get that done as well so that we can share it.
but I will send out the calendar invites just so it's in your calendar.
Fantastic.
Wow.
Thanks.
We also have a policy on lowering of our flag.
Mhm.
Has that been looked at as it relates to Don?
So we lowered it on the Monday after he passed and we
Fantastic.
kept it down for 2 weeks. I think typically it's a week. And I mentioned, talked to Taylor, who's reviewing or looking at the policy. We agreed for 2 weeks and then I believe on the day of the celebration of life, you would lower it as well. But those are some of the things that and it might not be the policy, it might be more of an SOP internally, kind of how we do things that we just need to be consistent with, but yes,
There's a
we
bit of a
did.
write-up somewhere.
Yeah, but we
Yeah.
did.
Did we do a post that said why it's down?
Well, it's up now, or it should be back up.
Oh, but we didn't at the time say we
No,
lowered the flag
we
in.
didn't, we just put out the, but I wrote that down as something to pass along,
To
that
add
when we
to,
do in the
yeah.
future, that we would
So
say
for the
why,
18th, when it goes down, we should
have a
post
post.
as well. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, good.
All right, any other questions of, me and the mayor's report? Okay, I think we need, time for the motion to go in camera.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilor Jameson, second by Councilor Goddard. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion's carried, so we'll have a short break. And then we'll come back and deal with those